Hello, and welcome to OSU's Professional and Continuing Education is Snapchat the New Facebook, presented by Phil Newman from Nike. Phil, on the screen sharing, if you could press play. Okay.
You got that?
Okay. Can everyone see his screen? Okay. Phil, can you go to the next slide? Okay. So for those of you who don't know Phil, he is the Director of Social Product Management for Nike. He is an experienced product and project management professional with cross-product platforms, new channel development, revenue generation, and upsell, cross-sell with a strong customer focus. He is proficient in consumer web and mobile portals, internet video, content management, and syndication. His industry experiences include entertainment, media, internet service, retail, financial, and energy trading. He is PMI, Six Sigma, ITIL, and Scrum Master certified. So thank you for presenting this for us, Phil.
Great. Thank you very much. Thanks for the intro.
Absolutely. Take it away.
All right. So the question is Snapchat the new Facebook? And I'm sure we're all real familiar with Facebook and what it has to offer. Just kind of frame out and put a reference point around Facebook for a moment. Facebook currently publishes that they have 1.4 billion Facebook accounts active using the service frequently, not quite daily, but frequently, so they have 1.3 billion accounts. Just in context, there's only 7 billion people on the planet, so little more than 1 out of every 7 people you meet will have a Facebook account. I hope everyone here does and is real familiar. Looking at Facebook over time, I think this is an interesting graph that kind of shows its growth over time. The blue line shows registered users. Green line shows activity. Now, this graph only goes through 2013, but as we see, the green and blue lines begin to diverge slightly around that time. Since that time as well, the blue line has somewhat plateaued, just around the 1.4 billion mark, and the green line has actually begun to decline somewhat. So these curves are separating, where Facebook users are now currently reporting less than 800 million actives on a monthly basis. With that being said, though, 80% of all browsers that are open at any time have a Facebook tab available and open, and 78% of Facebook users use Facebook on a mobile device of some sort. And as I said, we're all kind of familiar with Facebook features. I wanted to walk through them a little bit so you get a good feel for what the product offering Facebook has to offer is. Certainly, we know statuses. What's on your mind, tell me what's going on. People are always talking about what's happening, promoting their causes, where they are, what they're doing, who they're with. There's also Facebook Messenger's rolled out recently. It's a one-to-N messaging system. So I could talk to one person directly, I could talk to a group of people, have a group conversation. Certainly Facebook is all about photos and videos as well. They've got the ability to upload photos, upload videos. Actually, in 2013, Facebook became the #1 online storage provider for photos. Location tagging, that's specific to statuses and things. Where you are when these events are happening, when your statuses are happening. Very similar, and in many ways like Foursquare. Perhaps the biggest thing to Facebook is their ads. As you go through these activities, as you're posting statuses, as you're liking and commenting, they're understanding more about you and being able to present targeted ads that meet your needs or your demographic specifications. And custom actions. And those are specific, and that's something that I see a lot of here at Nike and work quite a bit with. These are specific to different industry verticals and things. So at Nike, I work a lot with Facebook on the fitness actions. and runs and athletic activity and workouts. But there's also reading, if you're familiar with Goodreads or other sites like that, where you can track how you're reading books and what's on your wish list to read. Music, integrations with Spotify or Last.fm or Pandora, all kinds of conversations around that. Again, I call out running because running is its own category within fitness. So there's a lot of activity happening on Facebook, a lot of different features to meet a lot of different needs. But what's interesting is the way the user base has moved, and this chart's in millions, and this is showing the growth of the user base since 2011 to 2014. And as you can see here, the largest growth by far is in the age category of 55 and up. I mean, 80% growth in those 3 years, and those trends are continuing there. But the demographics at the top, the ages 13 to 24, have shown a significant decline. A 25% decline for the 13 to 17 category, and 18 to 24 age group is down almost 8%. And this is just in the registrations of the users. The activity is also measured, and what we're seeing and what the industry data is showing right now is that high school students have declined in usage approximately 58 to 59% in their usage. So even if they have an account, their usage is down. College users are down at about the same level. So you can see here as well, this graph's this is another presentation of the same thing. Total user activity declines as well. So that crosses all of the age categories. So almost 50% of the users have shown some type of decline in their usage. 64% of the teen users are declining in usage. And so that means they're doing fewer things after login. So the big drop in activity. And what we're seeing and what the industry is seeing is Facebook is moving in some ways as an authentication provider. So you go to a website and you see log in with Facebook, and you click the button and you're into the website or the app, and that's where Facebook's adding an awful lot of value right now and just making things easy to log into. And people are using Facebook in that regard, but not necessarily using the features as richly and as frequently as they have in the past. Yeah, this was all done, this was a survey done by a group called the Global Web Index, where they asked, are you using Facebook less than you used to, and what are your reasons? The reasons are kind of interesting. Let's take a look at those. A couple I've highlighted here are, I'm bored of Facebook, my friends aren't using it as much as they used to, and I've started to use mobile messaging tools. Well, previously we already said that Facebook was mobile. They're in 78% of the places, so what's going on here? Let's talk about that a little bit. What we're seeing is that Facebook isn't necessarily targeted or tailored or specifically optimized for mobile or for messaging or particular tasks. As we saw an entire feature set, they're highly generalized. And so in many cases and in many interviews, you'll see that Facebook is still considered a web property. And by that I mean something that you would use from a laptop or a desktop computer, not something that you really think about picking up a smartphone or a device in your pocket and using. And even some of their applications, as you look at the way they've unfolded and been built out, kind of show that as well. As you look at the iOS app for Facebook is very different if you're using an iPhone versus an iPad. There's different challenges in the way your feed is presented. All kinds of different inconsistencies between top stories versus recent. I think the bottom column or row there is very interesting as well, because my parents are using Facebook. One thing that people realize is if they read that, if my parents are on Facebook, they're seeing my activities that I may or may not want them to. But in addition to my parents, my employer, my potential employer, may see me there as well and see what's going on. And maybe I don't want to share the fact that I'm at this party or that I'm doing things that I just don't need publicized here. One other thing that comes out of this to me that I kind of, as I look at this and read between the lines, is there's a sense of discovery that's lost right now in Facebook. So for the demographic, let's say about 35 to 40 and older on Facebook, there's a way of finding people and reconnecting. You're finding old high school friends. You're finding people you grew up with that you haven't talked to in 20 years or so. But for those younger groups, the 13 and up groups, the 13 to 30 or so, there's no sense of discovery there. Those groups never lost touch because Facebook has been part of their lives all along. So the question, like we started with, is Snapchat next? So let's start real quickly with what is Snapchat. So it's a photo messaging application. It's a way that I can send a photo or a message somewhere. In the Snapchat vernacular, that's a snap, and I can share that with a controlled list of my friends or my contacts using my address book. But after the snaps are viewed, they're hidden and or deleted. And this started out as a Stanford project, and it was a class project there, and it launched in July of 2011. It's been rebranded and has now grown quite a bit. Snaps can be augmented and edited and shown with text, with drawings, so I could take a picture of something happening at an event, write a little note on top of it, or draw pictures on top of it and send that out. And in many ways, this app addresses a lot of the stuff we were just speaking about. It's mobile optimized. It is built for your phone. It's really transient. It's temporary. Things are there momentarily. And as we saw, my friends aren't on Facebook anymore because it's suddenly not hip and cool. Well, right now, at least for the moment, Snapchat is hip and cool. This is Snapchat's description of what they do. Just enjoy fast and fun mobile conversation, highlighting the mobile and the fast and fun. And you send it to your friends and they laugh and things disappear. And even the ghost supports this and is all part of this, because the ghost is representing something transparent, ethereal, even bodiless, that these things are kind of transient. So with Snapchat right now, they're currently reporting somewhere around 100 million monthly active users, and a majority of which are under the age of 25. So we can see that whole category that was leaving Facebook, this is one of the places they're arriving. And it's the number 3 social app for millennials and by that I mean installed on a smartphone. And if you look at the graph there, you see Facebook's installed on 76% of smartphones. Snapchat's at 33%. So it is a very commonly used app. Certainly these numbers are not exclusive. I have all of these apps installed on my phone and use them all frequently. Occupational hazard. And along with this, in 2012, just some numbers to throw out there, 20 million snaps were shared on Snapchat every day. That's about 25 images a second. So they've got some good penetration, some good volume, and some great usage going on. Right now, and this was a couple months old, but at the end of 2014, there were 1.8 billion photos uploaded or shared through internet apps, mobile connected apps daily. And as you can see here, Snapchat's got a big percentage of those, and you can see that's the green in the chart. You can see they grew very quickly from 2012 to 2014. So really the question is, why did they grow and begin to take that away? You can see the blue, the dark blue for Facebook has declined quite a bit. Why is that? What makes Snapchat different? These short-lived photos and videos, and I want to walk you through a little bit about how it works. So if I take a photo or a video and I share it with my controlled list, you would receive the notification, or you would receive that photo, and you'd be able to view it on your phone, provided that you are touching the screen with your finger. If you let go of the screen with your finger, the photo or the video goes away. The photo lives on your screen for 10 seconds. When that photo has been on your screen for 10 seconds, it disappears and you can no longer view it. If I've sent it out to multiple people, once all of the multiple recipients have viewed that for their 10 seconds and it's disappeared, it's deleted from the Snapchat servers as if it's never existed. Videos work for approximately 60 seconds. And what this does is it prevents people from taking screenshots and prevents that photo from becoming permanent. And again, so with a video, once it's completed its video play end to end, you can't view it again. With the blue icon there on the right side of the screen, Snapchat has introduced a presence indicator. So if you're viewing my photo and you and I are both using Snapchat simultaneously, we can see that icon and begin a video chat together, so that not only can we see this video or this photo, we can discuss it and start having a conversation around it right now. And in 2013, Snapchat introduced Snapchat Stories. So these are more a string of photos or videos or things that can come together, and they live on Snapchat for 24 hours. So this opens up a marketing channel, and I've called out a couple of brands that have done a really nice job of putting together Snapchat stories and being able to display their message through Snapchat through a 24-hour message that's got some very specific targets. Audi, McDonald's, Taco Bell. Here's the message that Snapchat sent out in 2013 when they first put this together, and the part of it that I really find interesting that goes along with their transient message or that temporary message is, your story never ends, it's always changing. The end of your story today is the beginning of your story tomorrow. To me, that reads, live in the moment and be part of what's happening now. So as we've discussed, this app is mobile optimized. As you see ads interjected more and more into the Facebook feed, you're not seeing that in Snapchat. So you're not being targeted as an ad target or marketing target. And whatever evidence you have of something, your guilty indulgence, that disappears at the end of 60 seconds or at the most 24 hours. So again, you avoid that issue with your parent, your employer, your significant other. Any complications that are going to come from that place that there's a photo of you doing something you shouldn't be doing goes away. Share what the next line there, share what's happening without the recourse. And there's a different type of sense of discovery within Snapchat because it's not about reconnecting with people. It's more about, what's new and exciting today? What's happened? What do I need to see right now? And that's bringing people back. The signal to noise ratio is much better as well. There's less unfocused content within Snapchat. It's coming specifically from your group, your connections, and people you know. So getting back to the question at hand, is Snapchat the new Facebook? You take a look here, you see it at the bottom there. I will say no. And if you take a look at the millions of users of different apps, again, back to the Global Web Index survey, there's a number of different social apps out there, and this is just the top of the list, and a number of different messaging apps out there. You can see Snapchat's somewhere in the middle of the group of the messaging. And what we're seeing is that Facebook is a generalist, while these other experiences are frequently specialists. Snapchat specializes in photos, videos, and transient things. Some of these other ones, Vine, for instance, specializes in video. Foursquare, on location. All of these different types of things, they're highly specialized and puts together different presences or different feature sets than what you can get on Facebook. The communities are also more transient, and what we're seeing is people are moving between these apps quite frequently. Facebook is okay, but then my peer group begins to move, and we move to WeChat, or we move to Snapchat, or we move to Kik, or any one of these other networks, and then when that changes and it no longer meets our needs, we move to the next one. And privacy concerns. Certainly with everything that's happened in the news lately, people are looking for places and ways to communicate online without being tracked, without being targeted. There's a number of these that are specialized, and we can talk about those in just a moment. Also, and this was just in today's Engadget website, this is another reason why Snapchat is not going to be Facebook and is not going to provide that same data. Behind Facebook is a whole lot of demographic data. As you go through likes and comments, as you follow different people and do different activities, even just view posts, Facebook's recording a lot of data that they're using to target ads your way and to provide to marketers. So marketers have an incentive to push back and keep you with Facebook. This article here that I posted the screenshot of goes on to say, within 70 likes, a marketer can target you and profile you pretty well. If you like 150 things, on average, the marketer can give you a better profile than your parent or siblings can. So Facebook's got that level of information, so there's an interest for ad buyers to get at that, whereas I can get onto Snapchat with a simple email and password combination. So what other types of networks are people moving to then from Facebook? And really, I look at networks into three primary categories. They're not specific categories. They're not discrete. They overlap quite a bit. media, and I would put Snapchat in that category. It's about photo, it's about video, it's about something visual. Messaging, and that's things, you and I want to have a conversation. And anonymous, and these are networks that may do media, they may do messaging, but the whole idea here is they want to keep your anonymity. They want to keep you private, and we see a lot of people moving in that direction as well. So a couple of other photo sites that are similar in some ways to Snapchat, but a little different in that things aren't quite as transient. Pinterest, Instagram, WhatsApp, and you can see their users there. Instagram, I should call out, is currently owned by Facebook. They purchased them a year or so ago. And so the numbers kind of blend with Facebook's numbers and usage. And that's, in my view, Facebook attempting to get specialized somewhat, or more specialized in photos and that mobile photo experience. A couple of other networks to look at, though, as people are beginning to drift and move away from the Facebook experience, and we can walk through these fairly quickly. Kik is an instant messaging app. It's for conversation. It's very similar to BlackBerry Messenger. Secret is kind of interesting because it allows you to post things anonymously. What it will show you, though, is if the person that has posted the message is in your network. It requires a Facebook login, so if you're friends with someone and see their secret, you'll actually see that was posted by a friend or posted of a friend of friend, but otherwise everything else is, here's just a post, an anonymous post. Yik Yak is somewhat similar, except it's geolocated to a 10-mile radius from your GPS-determined coordinates. So as you move around, you'll see a conversation that's happening around you. And this is something I recently just experienced as I took a vacation. And while we were out of town, the conversation on Yik Yak moved from different trends that I see when I'm home to we were out at a ski resort. So it became all about the skiing and the after-ski parties. Cloak is a new one as well. It's anonymous posting and sharing. Trends about trending chats. A couple of others. Wicker is really interesting because it follows the same kind of anonymity concept, but what it does is it encrypts messages, and this is a direct response or direct answer to some of the privacy concerns that we're seeing in the news and seeing places. And so these are messages that are going one-to-one that are encrypted, and once they're read, they self-destruct. So there's no record. There's nothing for anyone to go and subpoena and pull out of a database at some point. Whispers along that same line. Elo is a little bit different. It is more of a true primary Facebook type of experience. It is definitely a web property. It does not have an optimized mobile experience at this time. And what it does is it puts together a social feed and a social graph like Facebook, does photos and comments and likes and those types of things, but it does it at a cost. So currently it's free in beta. And as they add new features, they're going to be offering them for a freemium. So that means that there'll be a price. If you want to add X amount of photos, it will cost. If you want to grow your video network in this way, it'll cost a little bit. But in return for that, you don't get the advertising.